So in this video, we are going to talk about mapping. So in Solidity, you can pretty much map different things to another thing, whether it be it primitive data types to a custom data type, or you can also undo nested mapping as well. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to undo both the simple mapping and the nested mapping. So join me as we begin the process. So first of all, you need to create a file and we're going to call it mapping.solve. And then don't forget, as always, you have your license, the SPDS license identifier and the pragma version. And then we create our contracts and we'll call it mapping. So what do we want to do next? So basically, what we are going to do in this particular mapping contract, we are going to create a function to set our balance. We are going to map a user's balance to their address. And for that, we are going to do set balance and then guess balance. So now let's get started. So first I create a function, I call it set balance. And then in this set balance, we are going to have so there are two ways to do this. Is either you want to put the address of the person so in that case, anybody that's going to call this function, we have to put the address that they want to map to the balance, or we want to say that the message to sender is the person that's calling this particular function, and we want to map that person's balance to that person's address, the person calling the function. So there are two ways. So is either you want to explicitly set the address there as a param, or we want to use message or sender. So but in this case, I think message or sender is fine. So all we can just do here is just like put the amount that we want to map to that call out this function. So we want to also make this public. Yeah, so that's for the set function. And then we want to guess balance. So we are going to do this also publish. And then, so since we're getting balance, we're going to be returning you int 256. All right, so then, yeah, let's move up and undo the mapping. So we could do, for the map, we could do something like mapping. Mapping is a keyword in Solidity. So what are we mapping? We are mapping the address. Address is another keyword to the user's address, user's balance or the amount. So and this uint is a number, so which is representing the amount that we want to map it to. So we can give our map a name and also give it an identifier by stating that it's public. So how do we make use of this map? So we can do something like my map. We can call it inside these sets. So we can do something like this, my map. So the index of that, what we are passing is the address. So like we already said initially, or like I said initially, so we are mapping whoever is calling this function, their address to the balance, the amounts that we are going to pass into the set balance. So it's the user that is setting their balance and stating that my balance is so and so amount. So that will be done when we are calling the function. So now that we have that all set up, the next thing we want to do is to return my and then message the sender. So the message of sender is going to get back their balance, whatever is their balance, because this map is supposed to return a uint. So all things being okay, let's test out what we have done. So you press or you click on this play button to compile the contract. Now let's deploy the contract. So now I've deployed the contract. So this is pretty much fast because I'm using the default accounts that are here. So yeah. So the first thing we want to do is to set our balance. So mind you, this is the account I'm using to do this. This account address ends with C4. So the balance now, it's not this balance that is showing in this account, but it's the amount that we're going to set here that is going to be mapped to this user's account. So I'm going to set, let's say 200. Everything is okay. That's why this is green. And then if you check, you will see all of this stuff here, the block and the data that was passed. So if you do get balance, you are going to get 200. So as you can see, for this particular user, the get balance is 200. Now, if we try to switch to another account and do get balance, is 0 because we have not mapped any balance to that particular account. So that's it for the basic mapping. Now let's look at another kind of mapping, which is the nested mapping. So let me see, I've not done this before. I guess it should work. Like creating two files, two contracts inside a particular file in Remix. So now let's see. So we have this nested mapping. We have this nested mapping contract, so we can call this mapping as usual. So we are mapping this user's address to another set of mapping, which is going to be linked, which we are also mapping their what else should we be mapping? So let's say we want to also map the user's address. So we are mapping the user's address, and then in the nested map, we also want to get the user's balance and also return a boolean whether it's true or false. So we are going to do this 256 and then bool. So we could call this nested map. We can also make it public by adding this public. Now the reason, if you make it public, you can easily access it from here. If you put the address here now, you will easily get the value. It will return the value. This is the previous one we deployed. So we are going to create similar stuff. Let me just copy what we have here with some little modifications to the code. Okay, so let me put the semicolon there. So yeah, over here we're having some red errors because it cannot find my app, which is in the other contract. So I'm going to replace my app with nested map. So I didn't even realize I used my app instead of my map, but it's fine. So yeah, so this is also giving error because we are dealing with nested mapping here. So this is expecting a number which we could still maintain our amounts, and is also expecting a bool data type. Let's see, let's just give it rest. So if we replace this, all should be good. And now if we come over here and then this is also still expecting an int, so we could pass in amounts and also give it a type of uint 256. So we can pass in the amount, and then let's see. Okay, so this should be returning a boolean because this nested map, the return value is bool. So we are going to change this return type to bool, and everything should be just fine. So if I compile this, since I have two contracts here, let's see what happens. Let me delete this one, and then let me see which one we are. Yeah. So we pretty much want to test out our nested mapping. So I'm going to deploy. So I haven't deployed. I see my contracts here. So these are contract address. So we still have our two functions, but this time around, this function is expecting two params as against one initially. So basically, what we want to put here is so pretty much would have just changed this to true instead of passing true. So maybe I can do that because I don't think I want to um put it as part of the input. So we could just remove that and change this to true. So anytime a user click on set balance, the return value will be true. So that is fine. Over here, we are just going to pass the user the amount that is mapped to that address. So if we don't pass the correct amount, I believe this is not going to return true. But if we pass the correct amount, all things should be fine. So let's try it out. So we are going to deploy this nested mapping contract. So once we click deploy, we see this, and then we pretty much just have one param to pass here. So I pass 150 and then transact, all things is fine, or everything is good. So yeah, I'm going to pass 150, which is the balance. That's that particular address that is mapped to that particular address. So if we do get balance, we see that it's returning true. So let's try something else. Let's see if it's going to return true. Now passing 100 is returning false. So guys, I think we are good. Yeah, so that's it. That's how you undo mapping and nested mapping in Solidity. So if you have any question concerning mapping or nested mapping or the previous session on looping, for loop, while loop, please do it to drop in the comments section and I will be happy to answer your questions. And I'll see you guys next time. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. It will really mean a lot to me. And bye for now.